The Halloween special continues with The Ring. Probably one of the creepiest movies on this year's list. This is actually a remake of a Japanese movie, Ring, which is very, very, very creepy in its own right. This is the American version of that same flick, and it's directed by Gore Verbinski. You're gonna get some strange, creepy imagery in this. Now, it sounds like just another urban legend, a videotape filled with nightmarish images leading to a phone call foretelling the viewer's death in exactly 7 days. Newspaper reporter Rachel Keller, played here by Naomi Watts, is skeptical of the story. That is until 4 teenagers all die mysteriously exactly 1 week after watching such a tape. And one of those 4 teenagers is her very own niece. So this is a case that's deeply affecting her personally, along with her young son Aiden, who is best friends with Katie. And this movie very smartly uses her occupation to allow her investigative curiosity to get the better of her. So she tracks down the video and watches it. And lo and behold, she gets a phone call and she has just 7 days to unravel the mystery. Or this creepy little girl crawls out of a well and breaks her jaw and makes her face look like... Now, in any genre, remakes can definitely be hit or miss. Disney is showing you more often than not nowadays, remakes are very much misses. But you can look back into the early 2000s and just look at a few prime examples of how a remake should be made. The Ring is one of such examples, because not only does this version capture the initial creepiness of the original, I think it only ups the ante. I remember the first time I watched this movie and I was seeing that freaking face everywhere. And not only does it give you these super freaky looking faces and bumps in the night, everything that a casual horror movie viewer would want to see, it also shows you an even darker side of horror, real life tragedy, things that are sad. And it shows you how it really does affect a character's psyche. And this is a movie that is absolutely riddled with tragedy and riddled with grief. And Gore Verbinski is very, very, very smart behind the camera. And this is before he ever became famous doing Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp. But the framing of this film is very clever. The cinematography is very muggy looking. Lots of rainy day sequences. And boy, if you really want to get the creepiest and scariest viewing experience of The Ring, watch this on a rainy day. I mean, it shouldn't surprise me that this movie has as much rain as it does. It does take place in Seattle, but lots of really muggy blue and disgusting green hues in this camera work. And the videotape itself, my God. Just the weirdest, most bizarre montage, but it still makes your skin crawl to a point. Speaking of crawl, my God, that little girl who's all wet, just dripping water, just crawling out of the well towards the ex-husband. Ugh, that is a scene that will get you, I will tell you that much. I love everything this movie is doing technically. The cinematography is absolutely brilliant. Hans Zimmer's score, you can't depict a better person to compose this movie. Because Hans Zimmer's method of composing really makes you feel like the stakes have been upped. And I gotta talk about Naomi Watts, because this is a movie that really put her on the map, and she is absolutely marvelous in this flick, looking back at it still. To me, Naomi Watts is so real and so compelling that you never really feel like you're watching an actor when you watch her. And thank God, with the way she performs this part and the way she's written, she comes off so much more interesting in this version than in the Japanese version, where she's basically just an audience character who is absorbing exposition. It's a complete 180 in character dynamic, because the ex-husband in the Japanese film is so much more interesting. He's a clairvoyant, and that is a magnificent performance as well. If you've never seen the original Ring movie, go watch him. He is so freaking good. But with that comes probably my biggest issue with The Ring. The ex-husband in this version is so much more of a boring character than he should be. This is not necessarily actor Martin Henderson's fault, because he is very fine in this film. But his character, Noah, is written to be such a cynic and not believing anything his ex-wife is telling him. Yeah, if you're a horror movie in the early 2000s, if you're a character that does not believe anything about the supernatural, yeah, stop me if you've heard that one before. And this movie does add a lot of supernatural elements to the main crux of the story. The original Ring movie definitely feels a lot more grounded in comparison to this version. But yet, even with the supernatural stuff, that doesn't really hold The Ring back for me. Because again, The thing that makes The Ring so scary to me, aside from the fact that you actually see small glimpses of those distorted faces after they die watching the tape, it's the family drama. Naomi Watts is so freaking good, like I said, just selling every bit of this grief. Young David Dorfman as the son, Aiden, such a great child performance. And that kid is 30 years old now, he's not acting anymore, and he's an attorney. Like, good for him, man. He's finding life after acting, but man, you look back at any of his work, especially in this flick, he was a damn good kid actor. As is Daveigh Chase, who plays the young Samara, and she is so freaking creepy in this. I love the depth that they give to her character as well. Again, adding to the theme of family drama. It's definitely a much different approach than the backstory got in the initial Japanese flick. And I don't know, I mean, like, I feel like this remake definitely has a lot more edge to it, and a lot more horrific elements than the original one did, which isn't a knock on the original Ring movie at all. Very, very creepy in its own right, like I said. But I think what Gore Verbinski does here, and the genius level of editing that's going on here, because I feel like it would have been very, very tempting for him to do long one takes just to show you how distorted these faces actually get. No, it's just very quick little jump cuts, and that's all the image you get of it. He only gives you a teeny tiny taste of that final result. And this is a movie that will send shivers up and down your spine and will certainly cause nightmares. Because, long story short, that's what it did for me the first time I watched it. Oh my god. This version of The Ring will never make you want to pop in a blank VHS tape ever again. Or any old VHS tape for that matter. Which bodes well for the future because those are pretty much obsolete by this point. Joking aside, The Ring is freaking fantastic. It's one of the better remakes that's out there. If you haven't revisited this version in a while, I strongly recommend you do so. It's one of Gore Verbinski's best. It's one of Naomi Watts' best performances still. And it also gives you the scariest random montage of imagery you will ever see. I'm gonna give The Ring an A-. Yeah, there are some central characters I would have loved to have been more interesting, but in the grand scheme of things, this is still a damn fine horror movie, if you ask me. Let me know what you thought of this version of The Ring down in the comments section below. Which one is your favorite? Do you like the original Japanese flick? Do you like this version? Do you like The Ring 2 for God knows what reason? Guys, I love discussing all new things in movies and entertainment over here on the regular. Do consider subscribing and tap on that thumbs up as well. Y'all are invited to join the family. It's a great community of film lovers and entertainment lovers over here. And stay tuned for my next Halloween special review in the Babadook. You want to talk about scary movies that deal with grief and sadness, the things that are scariest in real life while also being a monster flick? The Babadook is where it's at. And I can't wait to announce the rest of my Halloween special lineup for this 4th year that I'm doing this, in addition to talking about all the other new releases coming out this month. Y'all are the best. Stay tuned for more videos very soon. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.